welcome you all to our final and end part of this chapter, Preposition Part 5. So हमने already 4 parts cover कर लिए हैं इस chapter के, ठीक है. You can go back to the channel और वहाँ पे आप सारी videos check out कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. आज की वीडियो में we will talk about the final part of the preposition जो हमारा बचा हुआ है due था. So let's finish it today and let's understand how do we use it and how is it beneficial for our exams. So children, आज की हमारी वीडियो का जो first preposition है that is across. Now all these prepositions that we are going to study today are under the heading travel and movement. ठीक है, हमने already direction पढ़ लिया, हमने position पढ़ लिया है, ठीक है. Now today we are going to talk about travel and movement. ठीक है. Now let's look at here across. Across को हम कहाँ पे use करते हैं? Across is used to indicate movement from one side of a space area. ठीक है. टू दी अदर साइड, ठीक है. एक साइड से जब हम दूसरी साइड मूव कर जाते हैं, ठीक है, तब वी यूज द वर्ड और द प्रीपोजिशन अक्रॉस. सी लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड. आई वॉक्ड अक्रॉस द रोड, मतलब वो रोड की एक साइड से दूसरी साइड चला गया, ठीक है. आई वॉक्ड अलोंग द रोड होता है कि रोड के साथ साथ चले गए हम, ठीक है. आई वॉक्ड अक्रॉस द रोड मतलब रोड क्रॉस करके वो उधर चला गया, ठीक है. The cat ran across the lawn. Lawn we all know, ठीक है. So lawn के through मतलब उसके थ्रू कैट रन करके चली गई across the एक साइड से दूसरी साइड चली गई, right? They flew across the Pacific. Pacific Ocean को क्रॉस करके वो चले गए, ठीक है. So हम क्या बोलेंगे? They flew across Pacific, alright? He walked across the street, मतलब street के across चला गया. So all those points जहाँ पे हम एक साइड से दूसरी साइड रीच कर रहे हैं, whether it's a space, whether it's a area, whether it's a line or whether it's a street, ठीक है. When we go from one side to the other, वहाँ पे हम किस preposition का use करेंगे? वहाँ पे हम preposition across का use करेंगे. I hope all of you are clear with this. Now let's look on to the next preposition under this heading. So next preposition is along. Across हमने देखा था कि किसी चीज को क्रॉस करके चले जाना है ना, one side to the other side. जबकि along का मीनिंग क्या होता है? Along means to go with something, ठीक है. जैसे अगर रोड इस डायरेक्शन में जा रही है तो हम भी इसी डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हैं, ठीक है. Then we can use the preposition along. Let's see here what does it say. Along is used to indicate movement from one end towards the other end of something, ठीक है. एक साइड से let's say this is point A, this is point B, ठीक है. यहाँ पे कोई रोड है हमारे पास, ठीक है. And there is this person walking on the same side. रोड के साथ साथ वो चलता चला जाता है, ठीक है. तो उसके लिए हम क्या preposition यूज करेंगे? Along यूज करेंगे, okay. He walked along the street. वो street के साथ चलता चला गया, ठीक है. She went along the corridor. वो corridor के साथ चली गई, right? Now he hurried along the path towards me, ठीक है. So उसकी तरफ जो रास्ता आ रहा था उस रास्ते के साथ साथ वो भागता भागता आ गया, ठीक है. Hurried मतलब he was in a hurry, he was moving fast or he was running or something like that, ठीक है. So जब हम किसी generally we use it for fine path या कोई पतली street है और there is some line, ठीक है, उसके साथ जब हम movement करते हैं then we use the preposition along, alright. So now let's look on to the next preposition. So बच्चों जो next preposition हम पढ़ने वाले हैं that is into. So into is quite literally opposite of out of. हमने out of पढ़ा था previous video में जहाँ पे हमने देखा था something is going out of a space, ठीक है. किसी room से बाहर जाना, library से बाहर जाना, ठीक है. Now here into means to come inside of something, ठीक है. Something जिसकी कोई volume है. We are not talking about a surface area. We are not talking about a line, one dimension, two dimension की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं हम. 3 dimension volume वाले space की बात कर रहे हैं, ठीक है. जैसे कि you come inside a hall, ठीक है. Or you can say you come into a hall, ठीक है. Now let's see some examples here. Before examples, I'll just read out the definition to you. It says into is used to indicate movement inside a place, ठीक है, which is seen as a volume, alright. The opposite of into is out of, as I already told you. It is used for entering a place, ठीक है, building, vehicle, etc. So कोई भी ऐसी चीज जिसके अंदर हम जा सकते हैं as a whole, ठीक है, वहां पे हम क्या यूज करेंगे? We'll use the preposition into. Let's see some examples. The boys came into the hall. वो hall के अंदर आ गए, ठीक है. Obviously they came as a whole, right? Into the hall. She ran into the house. वो भागते भागते कहाँ चलेगी? Into the house, right? He got into a bus, a train, a plane, a car. So as already mentioned, with the vehicles, you can use the preposition into. So you can say, he got into a bus, he got into a train, he got into a plane, he got into a car. So all such things we can use into. Last sentence, The athletes marched into the stadium. जो athletes थे वो कहाँ march करते हुए चले गए? वो stadium के अंदर march करते हुए चले गए. So whenever you enter a space, ठीक है, which has a volume, जिस volume के terms में अगर हम उसे समझने की कोशिश करते हैं 3D way में, ठीक है, there will use the preposition into. So I hope you are clear with the into, and we have also revised the preposition out of. Now let's look at the next preposition. So children, our next preposition number 4 is onto. Now onto is slightly different from into. Into हमने देखा था कि किसी space के अंदर we are going inside, है ना, हम किसी hall के अंदर जा रहे हैं, हम किसी stadium के अंदर जा रहे हैं, ठीक है. Onto is used when you are going again, but not in a 3D way. किसी volume के ऊपर नहीं, volume के अंदर नहीं जा रहे हो, you are going on a surface, ठीक है, 2D way में. So you may be walking over a floor, or you know, a shelf or a roof. So उन सब चीजों के लिए we are going to use onto. Now let's understand how we can use the preposition onto. So it says onto is used to indicate movement into a position on an object or surface. जब आप किसी object के ऊपर जा रहे हो और you are going over a surface, ठीक है, then for that kind of movement we are going to use the preposition onto. Let's understand this with some examples. He climbed onto the roof. वो रूफ के ऊपर क्लाइम कर गया. Now roof is obviously a flat surface, right? It's a two-dimensional surface. The cat jumped onto the table. Now table has a flat surface. It's a two-dimensional thing. ठीक है, so उसके लिए भी हम onto use करेंगे. अब obviously वो टेबल के अंदर नहीं घुस सकती है cat, है ना, तो हम into नहीं use कर सकते. We have to use the preposition onto. A tree fell onto a car. Tree जो था वो कार के ऊपर गिर गया. Now car obviously has a flat surface over it, right? He stepped out of the train onto the platform. Now platform तो हम सबको पता ही है, platform तो flat ही होता है. Platform cannot be this zigzag तो हो नहीं सकता है ना. So वहाँ पे again we'll use the preposition onto. Is it clear with you all? So into हम use करेंगे when it's a 3D space, ठीक है, such as a stadium, hall, room, etc. And onto हम तब use करेंगे when it's a two-dimensional space, ठीक है, जैसे कि एक flat surface हो गया, roof हो गया, and etc. Now let's look on to the next preposition. So children, preposition number 5 that we are going to look here is now through. Now through कहाँ पे हम use करते हैं? जैसे हमने onto देखा, into देखा. Now this preposition through is again for a three-dimensional space जिसकी volume है. For example, if I talk about a hall, ठीक है, hall के साथ obviously we can have a number of doors, ठीक है. Now let's imagine here we have a hall, ठीक है. hall का एक door यहाँ पे है, एक door यहाँ पे है, ठीक है. Now you can get into the hall from this door and you can also get out of the hall from this door, ठीक है. So जब हम किसी चीज के साथ get in भी कर रहे हैं और get out भी कर रहे हैं, ठीक है, and it's a 3D space, उसकी volume है ना, so उसके लिए हम preposition through use करेंगे. When you're coming into something and you're going out of it, ठीक है, आप उसके में से होके जा रहे हो, ठीक है, so उसके लिए हम preposition through use करेंगे. Let's understand it by definition. It says through is used to indicate movement from one end of an opening or a passage to the other. ठीक है, कि एक कोई हमारे पास space है, it's a 3D space जहाँ से हम enter भी कर रहे हैं, उसमें से exit भी कर रहे हैं. And the place is seen as a volume. As I already told you, it has to be a 3D space. ठीक है, let's look at some examples that will help us understand better. The train passed through a tunnel. So this is again we can imagine it as a tunnel. So train यहाँ से आई, it entered from one of the openings and it left from the other one. ठीक है, so the train passed through a tunnel. Okay, then the water flows through this pipe. Now water can again be imagined like this. Water is entering here and leaving through this. ठीक है, they were riding through a forest. वो forest के अंदर घुसे. Obviously there is some beginning point of the forest and there is end point also. ठीक है, उस forest के अंदर घुसे और वहां से बाहर भी निकल गए. So they were riding through a forest. Then the ball went flying through the window. ठीक है, now जो बॉल थी वो विंडो के थ्रू होके चली गई, मतलब विंडो के बीच में से चली गई, राइट. सो wherever you have a 3D space, ठीक है, जहां से आप एंटर भी कर रहे हो और एग्जिट भी कर रहे हो, सो उस काइंड ऑफ मूवमेंट या मोशन को रिप्रेजेंट करने के लिए हम जो प्रीपोजिशन यूज करेंगे, दैट प्रीपोजिशन इज थ्रू. Alright, I hope you have understood this preposition. Now I guess we should move on to the next one. So children, हमारी जो next preposition है, it is the simplest of the preposition that we are going to see in this video, or even in fact if I compare it to the previous videos, it is up and down. I guess everyone knows up and down. There is nothing new to it. So let's just quickly revise it out. So up is used to indicate movement to a higher position, ठीक है, whereas down is used to move to a lower position. Okay. Examples are we climbed up the hill. So हम hill की तरफ गए मतलब he'll obviously is at a higher position, ठीक है. Then the girl ran up the stairs. Now stairs are going up and we are using this word up here to indicate कि हम stairs पे ऊपर की तरफ जा रहे हैं, not coming down, ठीक है. Then I set up the road. I set off up the road, ठीक है, कि मतलब उसने road के लिए जो भी मतलब necessary finishing up and everything done, ठीक है. She was walking down the street. Down the street, it doesn't mean कि वो street के नीचे जा रही है, ठीक है. Walking down a street means that you're just going along the way, ठीक है. आप मतलब normal casual walk कर रहे हो, ठीक है. Then she fell down the stairs. मतलब stairs से नीचे की तरफ गिर गई. Obviously ऊपर तो गिर नहीं सकती है. She can only fall down. Then the stone rolled down the hill. जो stone था वो hill से नीचे गोल गोल roll up करता हुआ गिर गया, ठीक है. So up and down is used to indicate a position higher and lower respectively. Okay. So now let's move on to the next one. So children, हमारी जो next preposition है, it is a very common, they are in fact a very common preposition. For example, we have on, in and by. 3 preposition we are going to see together and we are going to see the difference कि इनको कहाँ पे हम when you know with reference to your movement, where do we use them and why do we use them, ठीक है. So first one here is on, then you have in and the last one you have by. So all of them we are studying with reference to traveling, ठीक है. We may use on, in or by while using a public or private vehicle, ठीक है. दोनों के लिए हम use कर सकते हैं. On is used when the vehicle is seen as a surface. On हम कब use करते हैं? जब हम vehicle को एक surface की तरह समझ रहे हैं, ठीक है. That is a 2-dimensional thing. In is used when we see the vehicle as a volume, 3D object की तरह हम उसे देख रहे हैं, ठीक है. And by is used to indicate the means of the transport. By हम तब use करेंगे कि हम किस मोड के थ्रू आए हैं, whether it's a plane, whether it's a car, whether it's railway or other things. So there we will use the preposition by. So on जब उसे हम surface की तरह देख रहे हैं, in when we are seeing it as a volume, and by which is indicating the means of transport. So let's look at examples. We traveled on the horseback, foot, a cycle, a bus, a plane. ठीक है, हम on का use कर रहे हैं with the following cases. What are the cases when you are seeing all of them as a surface? ठीक है, जैसे कि on a horseback, on a foot, on a cycle, on a bus, on a plane. ठीक है, now this is not indicating it is as a means of transport. This is not indicating it as a volumed object. ठीक है, it is just showing it as a surface. They traveled by bus, by car, by train, by cycles, by sea, by plane, by air. ठीक है, so when we are using by, then it is telling us the means of transport कि हम किस तरीके से वहां तक पहुंचे हैं, ठीक है. How have we reached there? We traveled in a bus, a car, in a train, in a ship, in a plane. So in कब use करें? In preposition का हम use कर रहे हैं जब हम बता रहे हैं कि हम इसमें बैठ के आए हैं, ठीक है. That we sat in this and this was a volume object, obviously that is why you could sit in it and this is how you have reached to the final point. So we traveled in a bus कि हम बस के अंदर बैठ के आए. We traveled in a car, so we were in a car when we were traveling. We traveled in a train, in a ship, in a plane. Alright, so this is with it. Then there are certain other things that we will be looking here. Now we'll also be covering out some miscellaneous prepositions here because it's the end part of our video. Okay. Now let's see between and among. Between and among are very common preposition and it is also a very common error in the examinations that I have noticed. Now between is always used when there are two things और उसके बीच में कोई third thing present है, ठीक है. For example, let's say this is Rohan, ठीक है, and this is let's say Rajesh, ठीक है, and there is one table. Okay, so the table is in between Rohan and Rajesh. उन दोनों के बीच में है, ठीक है. But let's say there were certain other children also present there, ठीक है, and now we are not talking about the table. We are talking about let's say someone special, maybe some birthday child or someone other, ठीक है. So we can say this was present amongst others, ठीक है. among कब यूज करते हैं? जब when you know जिस चीज के बारे में बात हो रही है उसके अराउंड 2 से ज्यादा सिमिलर चीजें प्रेजेंट है, ठीक है. There it could be 3, 4, 5, 6 any number of things. Let's understand this with example. Before we come to the example, I'll read out the definition for you. So it says between is used with two persons or two things. दो चीजों के बीच में या दो human beings के बीच में we are using it, ठीक है. Among is used with more than two people or more than two things, as I already explained you. Now let's look at the example. Between you and me, she is very stupid. कि तुम में और मुझ में, she is very stupid. Now it's a मतलब here obviously three things are there, but we are talking about the two. दोनों के बीच में, right? She divided the apples between the two children. अब दो children थे, दोनों के बीच में apples को divide करा गया. So we'll use the preposition between. C comes between B and D. Alphabetically, C जो है वो किसके बीच में आता है? B और D के बीच में आता है. So there again we'll use the preposition B. Preposition between. Sumesh sat between Mahesh and Ramesh. जो सुमेश था वो किसके बीच में बैठा? He sat in between Mahesh and Ramesh. He lives in a house among the trees. ठीक है, वो एक ऐसे घर में रहता है जिस घर के अराउंड क्या है? बहुत सारे trees हैं. Now there are not two trees. अगर two trees होते तो we would say his house is in between two trees. ठीक है, but there are more than two trees, so we'll use the preposition among. All right. Then the next sentence. She divided the money among her 4 sons. Now 4 is obviously greater than 2, so यहाँ पे हम again preposition among use कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. सतीश वर्क्स अमंग द पुअर. सतीश जो है वो पुअर लोगों के बीच में काम करता है. ठीक है, डजंट मीन सतीश इज ऑल्सो पुअर और ही मे बी पुअर, बट ही इज डेफिनेटली वर्किंग अलॉन्ग विद द पुअर पीपल. Alright, so here again, because the number of poor people is more than 2, so we are using the preposition among. Alright, I hope you have understood this. Now let's go on to the next preposition. But before we proceed to the next preposition, I have one important point to make out here. Let's see. It says, but if each individual person is mentioned, between is used even if there are more than 2 people. So, जैसे कि if there are 3 to 4 people in a situation और उन सबका नाम भी given है, ठीक है, then we cannot use among, then we will have to use between, even if it is more than 2. जैसे कि the money was divided up between Mohan, Sohan and Rohan. So these are 3 people, right? Still we are using the preposition between. Why? Because their names have been given. So जब भी अगर 2 से ज़्यादा लोगों का name भी given है, then we cannot use among. We will have to use the preposition between. If the people are mentioned as a single group, among is used. ठीक है, अगर लोगों के ग्रुप का कोई नाम दे रखा है, ठीक है, some assemblance or some kind of association is being seen, तब हम कौन सी preposition use करेंगे? We'll use the preposition among. For example, I shared out the food among the family. Now, family is a collective term for a number of people, है ना? There can be 12 members in a family. There can be only 3 members in a family. So it is irrespective of 2 or more than 2. ठीक है. So I shared out the food among the family. So collective के लिए भी, associative term के लिए भी, we will use the preposition among. All right. Last sentence here. The girl quickly disappeared among the crowd. So जो girl थी वो फटाफट crowd में गायब हो गई. And crowd is obviously a number of people. ठीक है. It's a collective term. So यहाँ पे भी हम preposition among का use करेंगे. So I hope you'll keep this important point in your mind when you're attempting the sentences. Next set of preposition that we have here is by and beside. So let us understand where do we use the preposition by and beside. By means close to someone. By हमने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले ये भी पढ़ा था. It is a means of transport, है ना? I traveled through bus. I traveled by car. I traveled by plane. It is also showing you the mean of transport. By means close to someone. किसी चीज के पास होने को भी हम by use कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? Or something besides means by the side of someone or something, both imply nearness. अब besides कहाँ पे हम use करते हैं? For example, I am standing here, ठीक है? Let's say someone else is also standing, so we can say he is standing besides me. वो बिल्कुल मेरे साथ में खड़ा है, ठीक है? और you can also say I am standing by the car. By the car मतलब मैं कार के पास खड़ा हूँ, ठीक है? So both besides and by दोनों का ही मतलब होता है किसी चीज से nearness बताना कि हम उसके कितने पास हैं. Let's look at the examples. She was sitting by the door. मतलब वो डोर के पास बैठी थी, ठीक है? सिंपल. There is glass just by your elbow. कि आपका एक ग्लास पड़ा है कहाँ पे? Just by your elbow. elbow के पास है, ग्लास पड़ा है. Nearness again it is telling. The telephone is by the window. टेलीफोन कहाँ पे रखा हुआ है? Telephone is kept close to the window. Then she was sitting beside her mother. वो कहाँ पे किसके साथ बैठी थी? She was sitting beside her mother. Now the only difference between by and beside is beside comes with actual reference कि उसके बिल्कुल साथ में, ठीक है? With whereas by means nearby. ओके, बाय का मतलब हो गया कि पास पास, एंड बिसाइड्स मीन्स आपके बिल्कुल साथ में. नाउ शी वाज सिटिंग बिसाइड हर मदर, इट्स मतलब वो मदर के बिल्कुल साथ में बैठी थी. ऐसा नहीं कि मदर के साथ कोई और बैठा है देन शी इज सिटिंग. ठीक है, वी कैन if I say she is sitting by her mother, then it may be present that other people are also sitting there and she is also sitting. वो अपनी मदर के क्लोज बैठी है. लेकिन अगर हम preposition beside का यूज कर रहे हैं, it means वो exactly उसके साथ में बैठी हुई है. ठीक है. He always kept a dictionary beside him. वो डिक्शनरी हमेशा अपने साथ रखता था. ठीक है. Who is standing beside कुमार? कुमार के साथ में कौन खड़ा है? If I say who is standing by कुमार, there could be a number of people standing by कुमार, है ना? कुमार के आसपास काफी सारे लोग खड़े हो सकते हैं. But when I say who is standing beside कुमार, कुमार के बिल्कुल साथ में कौन खड़ा है? ठीक है. So beside tells you, very nearby condition, whereas by means just close by. ठीक है. So I hope you have understood these two prepositions, by and beside. Alright. Now let's look on to the next one. So next preposition is besides. Now besides is slightly different from beside. Okay. Now here besides is defined as in addition to or except for. ठीक है. Now whereas beside का मतलब क्या था? Beside means जब किसी के बिल्कुल immediate है ना, किसी के बिल्कुल साथ में बैठे हैं, जैसे हमने previous slide में देखा था. Now here besides means किसी चीज को छोड़ के, उसको exception बना के, उसको अलग करके, exclude करके. ठीक है. Now, an example of besides used as a preposition is she had 2 dogs besides 3 cats. मतलब उसके पास 3 cats के अलावा she also had 2 dogs. ठीक है. So जब when we are talking in addition to, मतलब ये तो है ही है, उसके साथ कोई और चीज भी है. ठीक है. There we'll use the preposition besides, which means she has 2 dogs and 3 cats, right? An example of besides used as a preposition again here is everyone went to the party besides Joey. मतलब Joey को छोड़ के, Joey as an exception, everyone else went to the party. Then this is I think very appropriate and this is clear with you also. Exception के लिए we can use the preposition besides. So everything is included and one particular thing is not included. So उसके लिए हम besides preposition का use करेंगे. Alright. I hope you have understood this. So children, this brings us towards the end of this video. I hope हमने जो भी कुछ पढ़ा वो आप सबको समझ में आया होगा. You have understood all the topics that we have covered so far. I'll see you in the next video. If you have any doubts, you can comment down your doubts in the comment section. ठीक है. I'll check all of the comments and I'll reply to all of the comments as well. I'll solve your doubts and in case we can't reach out to you at comments, you can reach out to us at these details. Okay. This is Daljinder Singh. Till then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care. All the best for your exams. Goodbye.